Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Big Bite Baits on our Monday rigging. We're glad to be here. I got Jordan here with me today. He's sitting by me. I've got a special guest for everybody today we're going to get to in just a second. But before we do, I think I've got a couple of public service announcements I need to make. All right, one of them is when you go to our webpage, on the front page in the icons, we've got a thing called Gift Guide. Now, that's set up for Christmas. If you've got some Christmas presents you need to buy and you want to buy some Big Bite type products, we have a list of things that we recommend. Am I right, Jared?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've gone crazy here.
You got it.
I've got it. They were going to put in there, and everybody can basically pick what they want anyway. So go to Gift Guide and check that out on our website. All right. So something we have new that me and Jordan brought to our attention today is a shirt that we've just put in. It's a camouflage. It's a digital camouflage shirt. It's got the Big Bite logo done on it, and what I call a monochrome. It's kind of shiny. It's pretty neat. But this would be something you could give that'd be really nice for Christmas. You can fish in this. I know guys that like to fish beds who don't want a bright shirt on. Here's your ticket. If you're a turkey hunter and you want to represent Big Bite Bait, here's your ticket again. So this is a good, nice camo shirt that you can use. It's made out of that same performance wear that we do all of our other shirts in. They're now presently on the website, so you can pick this up and try this out as well. So that might be a good Christmas present you could give someone. But definitely some things that we have. Now, kind of give you an idea today. Questions, Jordan, we got anything we need to get on real quick before we get our special guest on today? Then I'll give everybody a hint of who it's going to be.
Yeah, go ahead and give the hint. I'll get
Good. So if you went out and fished pro swimmers, this guy, I call him the king of the pro swimmer. And we've got one we've named after him called the GPAQ Money. You one guess of who it might be. Garrett, are you with me today?
He's coming.
He's coming. Okay. All right. He's fixed to pop on. I see him right there. Good afternoon, Garrett. How are you?
I'm good, Les. How are you? How are you?
It's just wonderful to see your smiling face today. I just told everybody this is the best bait on the market now. It's the one that's named after you. It's guaranteed for money. So anyway, we love it. We're glad to have you on today. Garrett's going to talk to us a little bit about pro swimmers and some other types of swim baits, which is a real good fall time bait. And I'm just going to kind of turn it over to you, Garrett. We got some questions we'll answer in the end. But go ahead and run what you got planned for us today, and I'll just kind of kick in as we go.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, like we talked about a pro swimmer and that style of swim bait in general, the 2.8 to 3.8 inch size swim baits have really taken off the last couple of years, mostly because, one, our lakes are getting a lot of pressure. And, that's kind of almost replacing where guys were throwing spinner baits, where they're throwing crankbaits. It's just a little subtle reaction bait. You reel it around. It's not going to make a lot of flash. It's not a ton of vibration. It's nothing intrusive, but just a really natural way to cover water and get bites. So that's what, if you guys have watched tournaments or you guys that fish them, the success, guys are having fishing the smaller swim baits up here where I live up north. It's just awesome. I mean, it's like probably the number one, at least for me, my number one technique for finding smallmouth. Now, it used to be a jerk bait or a spinner bait, but I'll lock that little swim bait in my hand. I'll put the trolling motor on high and I'll just go until I find them. So it's been a really good tool for that. And yeah, it's just, anytime you're fishing and you can, and you're looking to get bites, there's just no better way to do it than with something that's just not going to make a lot of noise and just looks natural. So that's what small swim baits do.
Just from our sales alone, they've been really good on this particular pro swimmer as well as our finesse swimmer. And that's pretty much an indication of what you're saying.
Yeah, definitely. And the cool thing is I got Big Bite. You're holding up the color that I made, GPAQ Money, so I'm a little biased towards I like it. But it's so easy to make. Natural patterns offer a lot of different variety. I mean, we have red ones. We got the glitter purple here with the chartreuse belly. You can always match your forage for the most part with these swim baits. So it's really, really a great way to get on the water and just get bites. I mean, that's just, I know I keep saying it, but that's really the idea behind the smaller swim baits.
Plus, you cover a lot of ground with it as well.
Definitely, yeah. The way I like to fish it, and most of the guys, I mean, on these smaller deals, is I have a little ball head in there. You can see that's a little Gamakatsu ball head. And the one thing to remember is, so this bait, it's very easy to overpower it. And by what I mean that is to put too big of a hook in it where you're actually going to ruin the action of the bait. So you want to have a little fine wire hook in there. It shouldn't come more than probably about a third of the length of the bait back. So you can see that
Right. I
back up
got you.
here. So yeah, look at that's about a third of the bait. You don't want your hook coming out down here, otherwise the tail's not going to wiggle and stuff like that. So I like that little ball head. Cone heads work fine. Just something with the hook. You don't want a real thick gauge hook. You're
And
not
like
going
a
to be throwing
swimmer
it on
head.
20. Exactly. The swimmer head's another great one with the 2 barb keeper there. So you're not going to be throwing this bait on 20-pound test. There's no reason to have a big giant gaff of a flipping hook in there. Just something small, subtle, light wire. That's how you're going to get the best action out of these baits.
Okay, that sounds good. I know that's one of the things that you like to do, and so you got any secrets you might share with anybody? You put any kind of attractant on or anything like that? Is there anything like that we might try that would work? Or
Yeah, I don't do a whole lot of scent. There is one technique that I've been working on up here, especially when the water's colder. That's really cool, and we call it scooting. So typically with your swim bait, obviously you're throwing out there, and it's just a steady reel in, or you might be reeling and sticking the bottom. But with this scooting technique, we're letting the bait go to the bottom, and we're working it almost like a jig or a tube jig, where we're literally sitting there and we're just shaking the slack. And
okay,
it'll literally
all right,
look like
yeah,
this. I mean, we're shaking it 1 to 2 inches at a time. The bait's just doing this on the bottom, and then you'll reel in a little bit of slack, and you'll shake it another 10 times, reel in the slack. It's a super slow, long, drawn out process to fish that way, but they cannot stand it. I mean, when it gets, I'm talking like 45 to 53, 55 degrees in the spring or the fall. That is an awesome, awesome technique and way to catch them, especially if if you're going to fish an exact target, like if you're going to pull up and fish a rock pile or a rock or,
right.
maybe a little cluster of stumps, get that bait in there and just scoot it. Just sit there and shake it. And it's a very powerful technique, and it's been a lot of fun.
I'm assuming you scoot it with like a light line of some variety.
Yeah, so with that, I'm using it. Most of the times I like to do bait casters with swim baits because it's easier to control the speed. But when you're gonna fish that way, you want a spinning reel. So I just have like a 12-pound Sunline braid, 8 to 10-pound fluoro leader. Nothing out of the nothing crazy. A 7.2 medium Douglas rod, and I just said, and that's the setup. Just sit there and shake, and you'll never feel the bite. You'll be doing it, and it almost feels like you kind of got a little piece of grass on there, and reel in, and fish has got it. So that's a cool technique, especially now that the water is getting cold everywhere in the country, that you guys can try.
Yeah, that sounds pretty neat. That might be something we could apply down here. I think that's a pretty neat idea. I think we got a couple questions we'll run by you today while we got you on here, if you got time.
Yeah.
Garrett, Samuel 127 wants to know, what is the best beginner swim bait? And I'll follow that up with maybe do like a comparison of a couple different swim baits to help people decide which one to throw.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, and I think this is, this probably speaks for the sales. Let me get it here. Something in the 3.8-inch size finesse swim bait. This is the Pro Swimmer here. That's just an all around. You're going to fish largemouth, smallmouth, spotted bass. It's small enough where it's not going to turn any fish off, but it's big enough to where, let's say the fish are eating bluegills or bigger shad, that it'll still somewhat match it. So I like that 3.8-inch. And most of the time I'm putting that on a 1/4 ounce head and just put it on like 12-pound fluoro. I like a bait caster, 7-foot medium. Throw it out there as far as you can, and just slowly wind it in. Some casts let it sink a couple seconds and keep it at the surface. Other casts let it go all the way to the bottom, and the fish will let you know what depth of the water they're in. So
and what they want
3.8-inch.
Kind of a go-to deal. That works pretty good. What was the other question?
Exactly.
Jordan?
I have an interesting question from Team No Fish. He's wondering, what's more important, color or presentation?
That's a good one. And I'm going to guess by presentation, he probably means like the style of the bait. I'm going to say presentation, but with an exception. So for one, the color's got to be somewhat natural. I mean, it doesn't have to, you can't throw like a lime green if you're trying to represent like a little minnow or something in clear water. But the style of the bait, the kick of it, the size of it, that is probably the most important. Same with like crankbaiting and all that. You want to have a good action. You want it to be natural to the environment you're fishing. So I'm going to go with the presentation, as long as your color is somewhat in the the vicinity of being natural.
Right. Another thing I kind of have stressed on this show over the last year or so was depending on whether you have clear or dirty water as well. I think that has a big bearing over the color. Does it for you?
Definitely, yeah. So the clearer the water, the better the fish are going to be able to see it. So you're going to have to be a little more natural. You're gonna want to try to get spot on to what the fish are eating. In the dirtier water, you have a little more leniency by not maybe, having to use the exact setup to get bites.
Do you
But then
normally
again,
go
in the
with
dirty
dark?
water,
Do you normally go to a darker color in dirty water?
so I either go dark or I'll go bright. I'll go like a real white or something with chartreuse, one or the other. I don't want anything translucent in
Okay.
dirty
Okay.
water.
Something that you can increase your visibility on, basically.
Definitely, yeah. You want to create that silhouette. So you want it to be dark, or you want it to be bright white, something
Right.
where the fish can just see the background. They're not going to look through the bait. They're going to at least kind of get an outline in that dirty water.
That sounds really good. Well, you have anything else you'd like to add today? If not, we're going to get off the air. We want to wish you and your family all a Merry Christmas, and y'all be safe over the holidays. And you know how much we appreciate you coming on with us today.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. We're sitting here. I'm looking out the window. It's blowing 25 miles an hour and it's snowing sideways. So
you need to be down here in Alabama where it's
yeah,
nice.
that's what I'm saying.
Everything's good.
I'm about to go get in the truck, grab some swim baits. I'm gonna come down there. Let's go fishing follow. So
we can do that,
that's
man.
what I'm thinking about right now.
That sounds like a winner to me, buddy. Well, have a Merry Christmas, and we'll talk at you later.
You too. Thank you.